Is Schedule 1 banned in Australia? Turn the volume up, let's talk about it. Schedule 1 is an open-world crime simulator game, mostly fixated around the world of being a drug kingpin. You start off just making drugs yourself, then you hire employees, and then soon enough you've got an empire that someone from Breaking Bad would be envious of. That's the game in a nutshell. It's pretty basic graphics, but it has been removed from the Australian Steam store. For those new to the channel, usually I only cover shooters, but I recently covered this with a game called Ready or Not, where the game was removed from Steam shortly before the announcement of their console release, and it's because they didn't have a classification rating in Australia. Well, the same thing's happened here. It's been removed because they never actually went to get a classifications rating from the Australian Classifications Board, which is pretty ironic because the developer, TVGS, is Australian. So kind of skipped a step there. Tala Schedule 1 tweeted that anyone's noticed that it's been removed, and it is just that they never got the actual rating. So they're going to head to the Classifications Board to remedy this ASAP. The big problem is that Australia has a bit of a rep for banning games. And as I mentioned in the Ready or Not video, I'd never thought Ready or Not was going to get outright banned just because it was inherently violent. That's not usually the case. The reason why they banned games ever since the R rating came out. Australia does have, for those around the world, they know that Australia has quite a bit of a reputation with the ban hammer. Back in the days of the aughts where GTAs were getting banned, they had to sort of send over different versions of them over here just to appease the rating gods. Most of that was because we never had an R18 rating. It was all just MA15+, so they never fit into that classification. Now that we got R18, there's less and less games that are falling under that ban hammer. However, there's two things that seems to be always a culprit if that ban hammer is wielded, and one is sexual violence, and the other is dealing drugs for incentives. And this game is pretty much entirely based on that. So it's probably not looking great for them. I do see that some get overturned, or there's another game that sort of comes out that's a bit modded where drugs will become vitamins. So I don't know if we're going to become a vitamin B simulator over here in Australia. But I'm much more worried about this game not being able to get a rating and getting actually outright banned than anything else than it being able to go forward. However, if you play in other countries, you're fine. No one cares about this. This is really just an Australian thing. They're really crazy about sexual violence and drugs in video games. So yeah, I've got a really bad feeling about this one. For those of you who have already bought the game, you can still play it. You just can't buy it now. So yeah, but if it does get banned, then all of those license keys, everything will become defunct, and you won't be able to go back and play it as long as you're in Australia. The reason why they never went for the rating was because they thought it was only required for console or physical release. That is a bit of a misnomer, but yeah, I think being in Australia, I have a feeling that this was intentional, that they just were like, well, the game's small, no one's really going to notice. I'm not really going to throw Tyler under the bus. He's the guy at Schedule 1, but I would say this was more intentional than not, than the oversight. But hey, you know, mistakes do happen. But yeah, they've contacted the ratings agency today. It usually takes 2 to 3 weeks to get accepted, and costs a bit of money. I just don't think it's going to happen with this game, but I'll cover it no matter what. I just thought I would give a bit of context there. I have actually called the Australian Ratings Board, or Classifications Board, for any additional comments. They didn't really have anything, just to say that they're in the process of getting the game rated. But yeah, I just got a different tone and I got a different vibe on my phone call than I did with Ready or Not. So I'm just a bit more worried about this one. So what do you think? Comments down below. Do you think the game's going to get banned? I think it is. I think it is. So if you are in Australia, then play it now, because you might not be able to. But yeah, have fun. Have fun out there. Hit the like button. If you made it this far, hit subscribe. That does help us out. Like I said, I usually talk about shooters, but I've kind of covered Australian censorship in games before and ratings, and I just think I have a bit more nuance than some other people. So, because everyone just goes straight away to the game has been banned and Australia's a bunch of wimps. Instead, there's usually some nuance in there. But yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.